Okay, guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to make a long video, not a few minute one. And in this video, we will talk about one of the things that I like the most, but honestly, I was a little bit disappointed. These are the Italian heavy tanks. What Italian heavy tanks are? Basically, Italian heavy tanks are the medium tanks with a better auto-reloading system, higher damage but lower damage per minute, and less accurate, as you will see. So the first one is the Caro da Assalto P88. What this tank is? This tank is actually a P26, very much longer. Even the turret is actually very similar. Guys, I have to say it. These are the statistics right now. Those can change in the game. So from now, this tank isn't actually very good in my opinion. Just make me use a IS, this quite normal penetration for a heavy tank. The lower rate is 50-50. But if you're going and hold down position, the lower plate actually command is thicker. Premamo, actually, the lower plate is actually very thick for this type of tanks. Maybe with this one, not so much, but the lower plate is actually thick. The turret is the main problem of this tank. Yeah, the lower plate is good, but the turret have all this big weak point here that you can actually penetrate it really easy. You don't even need Ramo. Well, of course, with HE you cannot, but with just normal armor you can actually penetrate it. This part only if you have, I think, hit ammo, but I don't know which tanks have hit ammo at tier 7. Let me grab a tier 8. Maybe, yeah, I think this actually bounces, but if you have enough penetration, like with some 300, you can actually try to pen even this area, even if it's very difficult. As you see, it penetrates here. If you have enough penetration, you can penetrate the gun mantlet. Very bad situation for this tank. Just let me grab a Liberté. For the Liberté, this tank is actually paper. And you will see, this side isn't even good either. Not because of this side, but because of this weak point that it has when making side scraping. Look, this side could be very honest, but the turret, you have always to point at it, and trust me, this weak point is very big. The rear armor is actually very trashy, 20 millimeters. You will say, yeah, it is a tier 7, it will have a good gun, honest. Not so much. Let me compare this tank with another others tier 7 heavies. P88, like 90 millimeters gun, and 88 millimeters from the Tiger. Or actually, you can use the captured King Tiger that has less DPM. You can actually use the BK and the Tiger P, or maybe even the Tiger 1. These are the main tanks with this type of gun, high penetration with low. And let me grab even the tire tank. And you'll see the DPM of this tank is actually very bad. Let me pick up even the gun rammer. With the gun rammer, the Tiger 1 has actually higher DPM, and this tank have always the same DPM as this tank as with gun rammer. But this tank is a little bit strange. If you use the stock gun actually has very much more DPM respect the full one, but it has less penetration. Let me just let you see. So Italian tanks are strange in this part because if you use the stock gun, yeah, you have this boost of DPM. This is actually better. Respect the Tiger One, very good DPM. But if you use this the normal gun, the full gun, you will have lower DPM, but for like 40 millimeters more of penetration. And this gun is even more accurate. And this gun, the its accuracy is very bad. Um, Even with stock turret, you have like the quite the same DPM, but if you put the full turret, the tank will actually reload faster, respect the normal one. So the Carro d'Assalto 88 isn't a good tank, is very bad in my opinion. Just don't take it in your garage. If uh, if I can find you a battle with that tank here in the command test files, replace Rinoceronte, Carro d'Assalto, Rinoceronte, C50. Is this one? C55 Carro d'Assalto. I don't know. Uh, if I have like a battle here with Carro d'Assalto, until it reloads, it's only to let you see how this tank is fast, I guess. And this tank, as you see, doesn't have good armor, isn't even fast, and its gun is quite bad, honestly, not a very great gun. And yes, instead of waiting the computer makes his calculations, we'll see the tier 8 Italian heavy tank, the Progetto C55. It doesn't reload. It doesn't reload. Okay. Nothing. I cannot show you that. So the tier 7 making a really sum up as a good penetration gun, not a good accuracy at all, not a good armor, not a good mobility. Yeah, not the bad, not the worst, but not the best for this tank that, as you see, doesn't even have the armor here. So someone will accept this tank very much mobile. I think with lower tiers, they are going to struggle to pen you. This is one of the characteristics of these Italian heavies. So the armor against lower tiers is actually good, but against higher tiers, this armor is actually sucks a lot. The tier 8 Italian heavy tank. It's very strange in the look because this long barrel and this very shaped, very strange tank, very like something futuristic here. And this strange turret model that isn't you will see isn't the best and isn't the worst, depends on the situation you are. So making a live, you will see that this turret, the stock turret, has higher armor here in the frontal, but first of all is flat, and second of all, these are not angles that will help you to bounce shells. So maybe with a tank like 200 of penetration, this turret can be good, but even with the full turret, they will not actually pen you. Even if you are like this, that is quite impossible. So grabbing the tier 8, new Italian heavy. Where are you? Here it is. As you see, here the turret armor doesn't seem quite bad. 240 with not the biggest cupola, but not the the, the slowest. The hull armor is actually bad, honestly. The side armor isn't the greatest. The HE ammo is good on this tank. On the Carro d'Assalto, no, not that feature for these heavy tanks. But look what happens if you put the tank in a hold down position. Actually, the upper part became stronger, but the lower part becomes weaker because of the angle and the shapes of the turret. So you have to make very, very high attention when you're playing this tank, because if you want to go hold down, you have actually to do this type of hold down. It's very, very difficult, or even this. But yeah, not the greatest shape of turret to do a hold down position. And you will see. Look the gun. The gun, the stock gun with no, this stock gun. The stock penetration is somewhat nice. Not good like as the lever, but nice. 220 millimeters is nice. Is higher respect to the Bisonte, the tier 8 heavy tank Italian that has like 218. It's quite the same penetration. But look how the DPM, look how the damage, look how the reloads, look how the fire shell, look how the damage per clip, the intra clip reload. Actually, the dispersion is better, much better on this Italian heavy tank. But even the speed is very good. But even the armor is very, very, very different from the Bison to respect this one. Let me see you what I'm talking about. This is the Bisonte, the new and the other new Italian heavies. The Progetto wins only in the dispersion values and the speed. That's it. That's it. The speed power weight ratio, effective. So this is faster. This is quite actually not bad in speed, but on the on the other sides, yeah, very bad. The damage was nice, normal damage, but it reloads too much. 20 12 seconds for do like 320 damage. And if you go down and down and down in the clip, as I will let you see, the reload gets even worse. 50 seconds to do 320 damage. So you have really, really, really know how to play this tank. Is this tank better or worse respect to the tier 7? In my opinion, this tank is actually better. Why I say this? Because instead of having this tank at least have some armor here, not in the hull. Let me see against maybe a tier 7 tank. This tank has a tier 7 gun. Maybe your armor works against lower tiers. As I told you, against lower tiers, this armor work. Against higher tiers, no, not at all. Against lower tier, it works very fine. Even the upper hull becomes stronger. But as you go up with the tiers and with the gun penetration, your tank becomes very, very, very more weak for maybe like a Jagdpanzer E100 that will shoot you. I don't know why did I change the Jagdpanzer? Maybe like an Jagdpanzer 100 will shoot you with it ammo. It will penetrate you everywhere, even on the gun mantlet. Don't trust this. Don't try to pen. It really penetrates you everywhere, literally everywhere. So as you go up with the tank penetration, as you go up with the, you will lose all that. That that armor that isn't the greatest, but isn't even the worst. So there are tanks like they have lower armors profile, but this tank doesn't even have the gun, doesn't even have. It has the speed, yes, the speed. So you could actually play it against, I don't know, maybe tier 8 medium tanks. But again, there are tanks like the Carnarvon, the Primo Victoria, that actually are better. I think they have even a better penetration respect this one, and they have a stronger turret. So I don't see why. I see the why you can play this because if you fight against like a KR, even if it doesn't have gold, it will struggle to pen your armor. But guys, this tank isn't a good tank, honestly. Exists better tanks to respect this one. So yeah, it's good. It's some way playable, but not the greatest tank to play. I tried it. This accuracy, yeah, quite bad. Honestly, yeah, it's quite bad accuracy. I put improved aiming at all Italians, all of these Italian medium, Italian heavy tanks. You can actually put a turbocharger here instead of the vertical stabilizer. So yeah, I think that all the even the view range is awful. So pay attention when you are playing this type of tanks. Trust me, those tanks aren't good. Yeah, they are some way playable, but aren't the best tanks to play. On the other hand, the tier 9 tank is actually good. It's actually, I think, one of the best tier 9, not heavies, but one of like strong tier 9 heavies. As you see here, it has somewhere good armor, even make it against, I don't know, at tier 8, as I told you, at tier 8, like the Bisonte, will struggle even to pen you. On the turret, don't talk about it. But we are not talking about tier 8s, we are talking about tier 9s, and the tier 9s have better gun respect tier 8s. So with 358 millimeters, they actually pen you. The turret, but if you go in a hold down position, this tank becomes very, very strong in my opinion. Look, this tank even with gold ammo cannot penetrate you. Just grab it like the one of that gun, the 1 and 20, and look how the armor is. This tank is outrageous. It's very, very good. It has actually very, very better armor respected the tier 7 and the tier 8. So if you're going in a hold down position and you can hold it, let me see, maybe this tank will have a profile like this. Very, 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 very difficult to shoot like in this weak point. Talking about the DPM, massive buff for you can actually choose two guns from this tank that are two ways competitive. The 1 and 20, as I told you, it does more damage, but it has less penetration on the normal shells, and it has more penetration on the hit shells. And the 105, but the 105 millimeters has a really really low DPM. The 120 has a very very better DPM. It reloads less. It deals like the same amount of damage when it uses the clip, and you will have 3 shells instead of 4. So it depends on how you want to play this. I recommend the 120 because the 120 has more DPM, and higher damage is more important than, like, I think, damage per minute. The speed isn't bad, but this isn't speed fast as the tier 8. So you will find like a more heavy respect a medium tank. You have the armor to the hold down. You have some way good hit points. Not the best, not the worst gun. Let me grab like the E75. It has only 300 DPM more. But remember, this tank is auto reloader. So yeah, it's actually way, way, way better respect the tier 8 and the tier 7. The last one, the Rhinoceronte. The Rhinoceronte, Uh, could be better, could be better, but this tank is very playable. I I enjoyed play this tank. I really enjoy playing it. It's it could be very funny when you unload all your maybe HE shells on an enemy tank and you will deal 2000 damage in 8 seconds with 130 millimeters penetration of HE shells. It changes when you're shooting like normal shell, but you will do 100, 1500 millimeters of penetration. Not sorry, damage. The penetration isn't that high. So if you are like in a normal position, this tank has some armor, but don't trust it. It penetrate tanks will penetrate it. Even I tried even penetrate here. You can actually shoot that weak point, and you actually penetrate from here. This 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 from here now, and this is the weak point of this tank. This little tiny, I think, cupola, and it isn't even a cupola. So as I told you, if you shoot here, you can actually penetrate the tank. The frontal armor isn't good either. But if you're going on a hold down position like this, my lord, this tank has a very better is in a very better position respect the others. You can actually see only this part of the tank. It is at 330 with normal shells and maybe 350 with premium shells. So in a hold down position, this tank really punches. But this weak point is really bad. So when you're playing this tank, you have to actually turn the gun up, not too much, but not too less. Put it like if you angle like 0 degrees and put it right there. You have to up your gun, and when you shoot, when you will want to shoot, you have to put the gun down and up the gun up again. Maybe when you are pointing. The damage on this tank is good. The reload is awful. They have to. I think they have to buff the reload and the speed. Not the best, but not the worst. The hit points are really bad, and the dispersion really sucks when you are moving. So it is good when you stand still, but when you are moving, this one really stinks. So my opinion about these heavy tanks. Apart from the tier 7, tier 7 really I think is the worst in this list. The tier 7 is doesn't have a very good point to go. But if the tanks remains like this, how I suggest you to play these tanks. I suggest you to play these tanks like a support tanks, not like heavies, because really heavies only I think only the only one that can play like an heavy is the tier 9. Tier 10 actually can struggle to play like a heavy, but this tank can give the impact where the player really knows how to use this damage, clip damage, and this reload. So I think these tanks are support tanks, not really I don't know, not really heavy tanks. For me, these are support tanks. You can actually play them against mediums, or you can actually make a support just shoot some shot when they want to help your allies heavies. Don't play them like a heavy tank. Don't play like them like a super conqueror. Don't play them like you can actually play like them like Vuzed. So going against mediums and bull them, but these only with the Rinoceronte, no, sorry, with the Progetto. With the Carro d'Assalto, you cannot do that. You can actually try, but It risks because this tank isn't fast. And I think with the Progetto, the Rinoceronte, yeah, you can do that, but you reload too much. So I think that you have to help your heavies or help your teammates with your high damage shells or your high damage their the clip damage, okay, right here. If you find like low armored tanks, you could actually shoot HE shells, but I think the reload will let you think another way to not shoot with your HE shells because you have to reload the wall auto reloader clip. So these are my points for Italian heavies. The they are it's very the tier 8 really left me without an opinion because really the Bisonte is much better respect the tier 8. It has more gun depression, it has more turret armor, it has more damage, it has more damage per minute. The only thing that the Bisonte has less is the power weight ratio and the accuracy. That's it. Really bad. I hope they buff the T7, the Tier 8, and the T10 because the Tier 9, I think actually Tier 9 is actually playable. Very good tank. Yeah, you can really do bad things to mediums, and your turret will resist a lot of hits. Not every single one, but it really can do not bad things, but it can do some things even to heavy tanks because of his armor. So guys, if you enjoy my video, put a like. If you don't, put a dislike. Tell me in the comments what you think about Italian heavies, what we should buff. I think I'd buff the reloads of everyone and maybe the speed of the slowest, not the tier 8. And that's it. I think these buffs will bring these Italians more, I think make them more playable because in this position they have really low DPMs. They reload too much to do not the best damage. As imagine the tier 9, the tier 10 reloads like one shell when even tier 10 autoloader reloads like three shells. Make an example, the T57 EV, the AMX 50B, no, maybe the F50B as I saw, it doesn't have the best reload. But the T57 EV really, if this tank reloads like the 20-second, the last shell, this reloads like 23 seconds to do let me four shells. So maybe this tank you can actually compare it with the Crown Bang because this tank plays even a hold down. Compared with the Crown Bang needs 21 seconds to reload three shells. This tank for only one. So as you see, the DPM is very low. So guys, if you enjoyed the video, put a like. If you don't, put a dislike. Tell me in the comments what will you buff to these tanks. As I told you, I'd buff the speed of every single, not to deteriorate, and the damage for everyone, or maybe the reload. No, not the damage. Sorry, I'd buff the reload of single every single one, and the armor for the tier 8 to make it more competitive as I say, because the tier 10, tier 9 actually have armor, the tier 8 doesn't. The tier 7, yeah, it could be a change from medium heavy, but when you're playing heavy tanks, you need armor, at least in the turret. So yes, I'd make those I'd make those changes. Put a like, tell me what you buff on Earth, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.